Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, kind sir.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for coming. Thank you for
Oh
coming. I
my,
really appreciate it.
oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you, and it's an honor to be on your show. So thank you for having
Awesome.
me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So first for because I am like live recording this. So
Sure.
for the fans of Terrifier 2 and just fans of horror out there who may not
Sure.
know exactly who you are, can you like give us a little bit of background on who you are as a person and also as a graphic designer?
Absolutely. Well, my name's Brit Godish. I had the honor of working on Terrifier 2 as graphic designer and also as one of the unfortunate Clown Cafe guests. I have been a graphic designer for, oh my gosh, I'm going to age myself here, like 20 somewhat years now. Um, and a horror fan since I was a little girl. So I'm so thrilled that at this point in my life, I've been able to kind of merge two of the things I really love the most into a career like this. Um, I have I have some experience on set doing some horror shorts after I graduated college. So I've always been creating and trying to be in the horror community in some way. But this whole experience with Terrifier 2 is really, it was just so fateful. Like I can't even tell you how it felt like it felt like God's hand came in and was like, here you go, you know? Um, so yeah, I mean, if you have any other specific questions, ask away because I
Oh,
have a
for sure.
tendency to ramble on, and
No, we
we'll be here for 5 years if I keep going.
we love rambling here. So you know
Okay, good.
you're a fine. So yeah, so just jumping in before we jump into Terrify, because obviously
Sure,
definitely want to get into that. But like
sure.
I know I was reading your bio a little bit. So you've actually worked on a few other projects as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I know you worked on what is it, Benji Hour?
Oh yes.
You
So
worked on that.
I did. So one of the many wonderful things that came out of working on Terrifier was my friendship with Olga Turka, who is the absolutely brilliant production designer. I know you've spoken with her, and she's one of the greatest human beings to walk the earth. And she and I, besides having just a really nice friendship, we collaborate really well together. And so she has been so kind to, when the opportunity is available for her to invite somebody to come on to another project that she's working on. She's asked me to come on and help her. So I've had a few additional projects after Terrifier, including Benji's Hour, which was pretty amazing. And it's interesting for Benji. I did some graphic design, some digital stuff, but I also ended up like hand painting some things. So I got to use my more traditional artistic techniques on
Okay.
that as well. So just pulling all kinds of things out of the hat. Um, what else have I been working on? There's a film called The Tannery that is
I
another
saw that. Yep.
project that Olga has so graciously invited me to contribute to as much as she can, obviously. And I'm so grateful. It's one of those things where I don't ask because it's you don't people get hired for all kinds of things, and I don't ever want to be one of those people who are like, can you get me on, because you just
Yeah.
you don't want to put anybody in that situation. But when the opportunity is available, she's so sweet, and she invites me on. And even though the film takes place in, I believe it's like the late 20s, early 30s,
Mhm.
there's still a need for graphic design elements in that. Many of them are not safe for work, so I can't tell you too much about them yet. But when the
Okay.
film comes out, we'll make sure to share that with you so you can see with your own two eyes.
Sounds
What would be great.
good. Yeah, I know. She
Yeah.
had shared like a few pictures from the movie. Now, when is the release date? Do you guys know the release date on that?
Not entirely sure yet. There's still a couple of things that the crew is going to shoot on the sooner side, but I'm expecting sometime this year, but I can't say for sure if that's going to happen this year. But I would I would say on the sooner side for sure.
For
So
sure.
I'm very excited to see it because the content is, whoo, you talk about horror. Oh man.
That's what Olga was telling me, that it was like in a horror movie that was based like in the early 1900s. So I
Yes.
don't think we've seen something quite like this
No.
before. So I'm actually excited
Nope. It's
to see.
definitely something different. And another thing that came off of Terrifier, the Fuzz
Dream.
Boys, as we lovingly refer to them as the Fuzz Boys, but Fuzz on the Lens. We have Mike Levy and his brother Jason and Steve, and yeah, they have their film Stream that's coming out maybe this year. I again can't say, I don't have any of that information, but they asked me to do some design for that film as well, which is such a great honor. It's so nice to, as an artist, have people entrust their vision to you. When it's something big like a feature film. So it was great to work on it. They were wonderful to work with, and that the cast of that one is like crazy. It's like every horror icon imaginable. So
I did read a little bit on that as well. So I'm actually excited that you got to be a part of that. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And
I mean, like, it sounds like you guys had a family on Terrifier too, like, because I mean, how you talk about, you and Olga, and I'm sure Jackie right along, and Damien, David, like everybody's really close knit. Like you guys are actually like a family.
Oh my gosh. It's one of those situations where, so the first time I met anybody, including Olga, was when they were shooting the Clown Cafe scene in upstate New York. And that wasn't even originally, none of this I had ever imagined I was ever going to be a part of in the way that it happened. So if it's okay with you, I'll tell you the story of all that. Okay. I didn't want to start off if you had another question. So a very good friend of mine is Olga's cousin. And she's a newer friend. I've only known her for a couple of years. But she does know that I love horror movies because I tell everybody I love horror movies. That's like, if you know me, it's like, hi, I'm Brit. I love horror. I just need to know that about me before we go any further. So we were at someone's house, and she said, oh, my cousin, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. She's a costume designer, but she's working on a horror movie. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Which one? And she said, the sequel to Terrifier. And I was like, I froze. I was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I love Terrifier. Like, this is like, you're laughing, but I'm going crazy right now. So I said, can you, without being a creep, can you put me in touch with your cousin? I'd love to like, just talk to her about what it's like and just tell her I'm a fan, and maybe if she can get me somebody's autograph or something. And she did put us in touch, and Olga and I hit it off like immediately. And then not too much later, Olga had put in one of her Instagram stories that if anybody that was on her friends list was a graphic designer and could help with a poster for something. And I texted her, said, oh, I'm a graphic designer. And she's like, get out of town. I said, here I am. And so that was how the Queen Phoenix image came about. And I didn't know who it was in the image at first. I was like, oh, she's very pretty. And she was like, yeah, she's like, just, we wanted to kind of make it like a retro rock kind of thing, just something to be in a bedroom, like a fake band. And I came up with the concept. And then later on, she told me that it was a feminized Damien in the photo, which is so amazing. He's attractive as a man and a woman. So that the poster was like, wow, this is great. And yeah, and then after that, I think, I told her, I said, listen, if there's anything else that you need help with, no pressure. I'm not going to like, I'm not trying to force myself onto production, but if there's anything else that you need, like if, especially since you're doing set stuff, please let me know, because it would be such a great honor. Like, this already is one of the greatest things I've ever done, was creating that poster. And so I think just kind of, I slowly became a resource for Olga, and then eventually to Damien, because he was looking for newspaper articles, and, there had to be like actual text written out. Like it was a little more involved than just, putting a picture with some random words. And, I was like, I'm more than happy to do it. So that's sort of how everything began. And then she mentioned, she's like, we have this crazy shoot coming up, and I don't know if you're free, but we need you for like a week, but if you can't come, it's totally fine. And I said to my husband, I said, would you be all right? Like I have a 9-year-old son. And I was like, are you cool with me like not being home for these days? He's like, go for it. He's like, I know this is like the ultimate dream. So I have so much support. My husband's amazing. So I went up there, and that's how the whole Clown Cafe thing came about. And I met everybody, and it was, my gosh, it was just like truly one of the most wonderful weeks of my life. Everyone was just like, I feel like it's such a, I don't know, it's an easy thing for people to say, yeah, everybody was so great, but really I left with like the greatest friends ever from just those few days being up there. Just, it was amazing. It was a lot. It was, it was hard too. It was very, very cold. We were in this very old house. So there was a lot of chaos too, but just, every person that was there was so focused on having a good time and making this thing happen as best as it could happen, that it was just, it was just wonderful. It really was.
See, and I think you guys did an amazing job portraying that, like the love that you guys like shared with one another, the chemistry you guys had, definitely out on film, because the way the world took to Terrifier 2 was, it was crazy. And like, like you're a part of that, like you're part of that success. So like, if it wasn't necessarily a part of the movie, we probably wouldn't have got some of the scenes or that we all fell in love with. So, thank you for
Oh my gosh.
Seriously. So
I'm
I'm that
so much. You're so sweet. That's so kind.
for sure. No, I'm that guy. I love like the main cast and all the good stuff, but I like the people behind the scenes that you don't get that. Like you guys are the meat and potatoes of the movie too. So it's definitely great that you wanted to be a part of this. Now, what was like one of the hardest days on set? So like, let's go through some traumatic experience.
Fortunately for me, I did not have didn't have too much trauma on set. I can't speak for everybody. I know there were very hard days for some of the crew, and I think honestly, I think a lot of it was just probably like the elements. Again, just that week alone that I was upstate shooting, it was like it was freezing. We were exhausted. We were like, we ate, but it's just, you can only have pasta and beans so many times. Like, it was just like getting through just some gnarly things. But I will say, I think the most, I wouldn't even say it was traumatizing, but it was definitely one of those things where like, I have this keychain where I go when I go for my walks that has like, it's like a little alarm on it and a little dagger on it as well. Just, you never know. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, and all of them start out with, she went out for her evening stroll. So I'm always prepared. But we did shoot a couple of times at the, I want to be very careful of how I word this. I don't think it's called a sanitarium anymore, but it was the asylum, the hospital in the end credits in Staten Island. And it's such a strange place because there is a night guard at the desk, and there's electricity, but there's like nobody there, and it's just very run down and very eerie. And there were just times where like, if I had to use the restroom, then I'm just like, saying my prayers as I'm on my way there. And that alone was in and of itself pretty creepy, but the last, so I'm sure you know that we had to reshoot the last, that scene with
Mhm.
at the hospital, because there was an original shot, and then that movie came out and it had something very similar. And Damien, and I give him a lot of credit for this, about wanting to like make sure that what he put out was unique to this universe. So we did reshoots. And you don't see me, but at the, when Victoria's character is birthing Art at the end, when like her guts are spilling out, I'm underneath her, and there's like a piece of wood. This girl is kneeling on this piece of wood. It's like 2 degrees in there, and I'm like contorted underneath her, holding her fake intestines up so it squirts out. And I had no idea I was going to be doing that night. So it was just, it was definitely something. I'll tell you that much. I was coated with blood by the end of it, and I, it was just something else. But it was a great experience. Looking back on it, I can laugh. But at the time, I was like, I need a hot bath immediately.
Right. Like that's awesome though. So I mean, like I said, I can't just say enough like how awesome this movie has been, especially to like the world, right? So like, moving forward though, like what's next for you? Like are you possibly going to come back for a Terrifier 3, or what other projects do you foresee in the future?
First of all, I would love to come back for Terrifier 3. Damien is such a dear friend to me. Again, another like, what have I done to deserve all of these wonderful people in my life? But he's such a dear heart. You see this film and you're like, what kind of person comes up with this? And it's like the nicest human being ever. He's so sweet. So anything that Damien would like to collaborate with me on, or would like to have me on board for, I'm 100% there. There is something that I don't even want to say it's in infant stages. It's in like fetal stages right now. But a very good friend of mine, his name is Frank Sabatella. He's also a director. His last movie is called The Shed, and it was a really cool vampire flick. I believe it's on Shudder if you want to give it a shot. He's a fantastic guy. We actually met at a horror con like 12 years ago, just like passing by, and then we just have been friends ever since. But we've been talking about this concept of like, as I'm sure you are, I'm a horror fan, but I'm also a fan of Halloween, the holiday. Love Halloween. I just love it so much. And I have a very special place in my heart for the Halloween that I grew up with in like the 80s and the early 90s. And, going to the corner store, the pharmacy to get my Halloween bucket, and, what, like the masks and everything, and kind of just that like little spot on the corner. And we're living in this age now of Spirit Halloween, which is like this mega store for Halloween. And I have so much respect for Spirit. I'm so happy that Halloween, the holiday, seems to have kind of like, it's like having like a renaissance. I feel like in the last few years, like everyone's like, Halloween, yes, it's finally here. And I'm so happy about that. But there's something very special to me about like, just like a small store that has like a little, when you would go to and just get like the odds and ends that you needed. So the concept is called Drugstore Halloween. And I don't know exactly what is going to come of that right away, but we have some ideas, and a lot of it is just kind of the imagery and the feeling behind it. And we'd like to turn it into something. So we're working on it. I think it's just one of those things that it encompasses so much that it's just finding the focus, like how we want to showcase our love for that, that period of our lives. The visuals of it, the mood of it. But that's been something that's I've been keeping on the back burner for a while, but I feel a little bit more motivated now to start working on it. So we'll definitely keep you posted on that for sure.
Definitely. No, that, you're actually right. Like, I feel like a lot of the old tradition Well, I mean, I was born in 1995, so I don't know
Okay.
too much.
Yeah, but
But
you still have some of those years in there.
yeah, growing up in the 90s for like a little bit, or even the early 2000s, you still had that big Halloween tradition and stuff. So
Yes.
now we kind of have moved away from it a little bit. What is your take on that? Like, how do we get back to that 90s, 80s feel of Halloween? Like, how do we?
It's so hard, I think, because, I do notice as well that we're, just being an observer on social media, there is this like reverence for vintagey things. Like even if you think about like the generation now and even like the clothing that they're wearing and a lot of the music that they take, like there is, everything kind of comes full circle, right?
Mhm.
So there are, and I've seen a lot of photographers and people who love Halloween. There's actually quite a few Instagram accounts that I follow that like will post like those old school like paper Halloween window decorations and stuff like that. Like their whole account is dedicated to like the older decorations. And so I think there is definitely, I think people are yearning for like maybe, I don't even know if I want to say simpler times, but maybe simpler times. So I don't know how we can get back there. I also don't have a problem with, again, like I'm so thrilled that the holiday is kind of seeing a resurgence, like
Mhm.
again, like at this point, I feel like it's going to become a federal holiday. Like it's just like nobody wants to work on Halloween. Everybody wants, it's like people start celebrating. I'm one of those people, like once August hits, I'm like, the pumpkins are out, So I don't know how we can get back there, but I definitely think that there, even take Terrifier, for example. There's definitely that, there's like that, it's not like in your face retro, but there are elements about it as like a slasher film that is a callback to, years ago.
Mhm.
And I think people maybe getting on board with that more. I don't know. I'm not really sure how that's going to evolve. But I certainly do want to put something out there that showcases my love for that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with drugstore Halloween, but it's definitely something. It's like my little baby. We'll see how it grows.
I really hope that takes off because, like I said, like that
Thank
nostalgia
you.
is
Oh,
definitely
I will. I'll keep you in the loop for sure.
for sure. No, I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
just moving along. So I was reading your bio a little bit. So you went to school for graphic design. Now, what school did you attend? And then, but before we go there, like, what made you wake up one day and like, hey, I want to be a graphic designer?
Yeah. So I went to, gosh, so I started my freshman year of college. Oh my gosh. I feel so ancient. In like, it was in 1999, I started my first year of college, and I went to school initially to study like media arts. I knew that I wanted to do something in film or in production somehow. Like even if it was, I've always felt creative. So and I was in theater growing up, and I've always loved that. I've loved it so much, and I just felt like I could really be myself in that field. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I said, if I learn how to operate a camera, if I can do editing, like there's a lot of like practical things I could do if I go to school to study this. And the school I went to was New Jersey City University. And graphic design was a hobby for me.
Mhm.
One of the classes that I took as kind of an extra was, it was just like an Adobe, studying the Adobe programs, because you could implement those into your editing when you were doing film. So there were all kinds of little classes you could take to help improve your filmmaking. And I loved it as a hobby. So I would just like edit photos all the time when I get home. I started making websites and all that. So it just became a hobby. And then I ended up finding work doing graphic design while I was still in school. And then while I was trying to find a real job, I was still, doing graphic design. And then I found a really great professional career doing graphic design in the city. And it really just morphed from, just kind of an extra thing that I was doing to a career. And it's, it really is not an easy thing to get into. I was very lucky. It really was like knowing the right people and, somebody recommending me. And, but it is a very rewarding and satisfying career if it's something that you can make happen for yourself. So yeah, that's sort of the story of my graphic design career. I've had, clients that have been with me for many years. After I left my corporate job, I had my son, I stayed home, and a lot of my clients just, I work from home. I still work from home now. And then somehow, over the years, magically, I was able to merge graphic design and filmmaking. It's incredible. It's incredible that I'm like, it's like a dream. It's a dream for real.
It's definitely your calling. You went to it so well, from what outside looking in, like it looks like you did a seamless, transition for you, but both very well. So, I mean, congrats to you on that as well.
Thank you. And I will say this, in terms of, from just my personal experience, because the thing that makes me so happy doing this is really now like being able to work in horror, even if it's just here and there. Mm-hmm. But, I've talked to some really lovely people that have reached out to me after the film came out and have asked me questions. And, one thing I do want to say is, for people who want to do something, want to do work in horror, is just be a part. Make sure that you involve yourself in something, whether it's a message board or if there's a YouTube channel that you love, interact with people, because those people become your people. And then you will be so surprised what can come out of those kinds of meetings. It's amazing.
For sure. And I think a lot of people who, let's say, like for the people out there who don't necessarily like, what we're into as far as like those, I have got nothing but love from the horror community. You know what I'm saying? Like it has been nothing but positivity and, love. And it's just like, you think about somebody getting split in half and then caring people. It's kind of weird. When you think about it like that, but it's true. You get some of the most caring people in this genre. Absolutely. I don't know. Like, why do you think that is? Why do you think there's like murder and chaos? Beautiful.
Well, I will say right off the bat, I agree. I could not agree with you more that like, of all the interests I've had in my life, nothing has compared to the comfort I feel being a part of this community. Just, it's like home. And you want to know, I think that a lot of it has to do with, because I've often questioned, like, why, how come I can fall asleep to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Like, why does that lull me to sleep sometimes? I don't know. But I think some of it has to do with, well, on one hand, I think maybe there's like a safety in knowing that we kind of know what the outcome's going to be, and kind of allowing ourselves to feel these intense emotions in this space where we don't have to be afraid of what the outcome's going to be. Does that make sense? Like there are some films where after watching it, I'm like, I need to go out in the sunshine for a little while. But I think generally speaking, it's like, they really are like an outlet. And fear, I feel like, is one of the strongest inherent human emotions that we have. And we should have, there should be a healthy exploration of them. And if it can be in this way, I think that's a great thing. So maybe it's just like a relief, like a breath of fresh air for us. And we don't really even think of it as that, but like we're watching it, it's like, ah, this is so relaxing because I can let all of this out. It's really strange because I can remember being very little and just always loving the sensation of being creeped out. And it's a mystery to me, but I love it. It's just, I don't know. I just love it so much.
And I'm right there with you. So like, are you someone who loves going to haunted houses? Like, do you do those every year? Yeah.
Oh, yes. And my favorites are love a haunted house, but we have a lot of cornfields where I am, and they do like but they go crazy where I am. Like there's like an abandoned bus in the middle of the cornfield, and like you'll walk through the corn, but then you got to go through the quiet bus to get to the other side. And like somebody's waiting I love it. I love it. I could walk through a dark cornfield. If you said like, hey, somebody's going to be chasing you, I'll be like, yes, I'm there. As long as I know it's all acting, I'm good. But I love being creeped out. Love it so much.
See, I'm right there with you. Like, I feel like I'm at my best moments when I'm in a place where other people are like not having as great a time as I am.
Yeah.
Like, I know when we go, she's like, why do you want to come to these? You never get scared. It's like, I'm not scared. Like, I'm enjoying it so much more than being scared. Like I thrive in those separate environments. So with that being said, have you ever been a scare actor, or have you ever worked within a haunted house or anything?
No, I never have. I don't know how good I would be because, the thing is too, like I love to play hide and seek, even as an adult. Like, honestly, a scary adult hide and seek in like some crazy house sounds like an awesome night to me.
Right.
But when people get too close, I want to like give them a heads up. I don't know. It's like I'm like an empathetic scarer. So I've never done that before, but I think I just in general enjoy it more when somebody's doing it to me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always want to dabble in being a scare actor.
Yeah.
I don't know how good I would be at it, but so like,
Give it a try.
I might try this season. But besides Halloween and all that, like what are your other favorite holidays that you like to celebrate?
Oh, actually, my favorite holiday after Halloween is Easter. I love Easter. I love what it represents. I love the time of year. It's just I don't know. It's just like it's a day for celebration, but there's not so much pressure. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also, my one half of my family is Polish, so we have this like grand Polish feast. So it's like my favorite meal of the year as well. So it's probably mostly food driven, to be honest with you, but I do love Easter. I love all the holidays. They're all pretty great. But Halloween's the best.
Hands down. Yeah, Halloween has to be the I am a sucker for St. Patrick's Day because I feel like St. Patrick's can be creepy too, but it can be creepy too. Like, and I do, and because my wife, she's like Irish.
Okay.
And, it just kind of goes hand in hand.
Mhm.
But so outside of Easter, like, what's your third? Like, do you like Christmas, Thanksgiving, or not those Hallmark?
I do love, listen, I love Christmas. The Christmas is so wonderful. I do love Thanksgiving. I've been loving Thanksgiving more as I get older. But I gotta tell you, I love St. Patrick's Day. That was like the next one I was gonna say, because I feel like, well, I'm also Irish, but I feel like you don't need to be Irish to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, but there's something, I don't know what it is about it. It's like these like underloved holidays that I'm like, the underdog holidays that I love, really, really enjoy. But it's really interesting that you mentioned like a creepy element to St. Patrick's Day. And I guess I bet you there's some really spooky lore that I don't know about, besides like, leprechaun and all that. I bet you there's something else. We gotta look into it.
Definitely has to be. I think there's some creepy aspects with almost every holiday if we was to explore it. I don't know about Easter though, or like
Yeah, I don't
funny?
know about, I mean, it could be like, I don't know. I don't know. See, listen, you keep that, don't tell anybody, just jot stuff down and come up with
You're
a
right.
script.
No,
There
I
you
was thinking about like day, like
go.
it
Uh-huh.
Groundhog or something. That's a great movie, and it could be,
Yes,
you know, we're good.
there you go.
But yeah, no, I don't want to keep you too long. But like, so tell me about the relationships between, you know, working with the Levy brothers. I know you said like Damien was awesome. Everybody was totally awesome, but like, how was it working with the Levy brothers in general? Because they do get their hands in a lot more different films as well.
hmm So I didn't really have a chance to work with them too closely. Again, on Terrifier.
Mhm.
Um, but Mike was he guided me through having my head blown off in the clown cafe scene. He was assistant directing at the time, so he was definitely an integral part of my of my demise in that scene. Um, Jay's a very funny guy. They're all very fun guys, very energetic. Steve is a workhorse. Um, they're great, and I wish them all the best in their endeavors as well. And um, Damien, these are people that are close with Damien, and I know Damien also helped a little bit on stream.
Yeah,
And
special effects.
yes, um, and he really is such a great, he's a great friend, on top of everything else. He really is such a great friend, and very thoughtful. Um, and it's wonderful being a part of a group where you can really look at every single person there and see such a bright future for everybody, and be like, wow, it's such an honor to know this person. The our one of our camera persons, Faye, I don't know if you've ever spoken to them before, or I don't know if you follow them either, but Faye
Well,
Johnson.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, just also one of the Clown Cafe kids, the one with the popcorn and the curly hair that was kind of going crazy. They're also first camera, incredibly talented person. That again, it's just another instance of like everybody coming together and getting their hands involved, and being, taking on different roles in the film, making sure everything was exactly, just fit Damien's vision perfectly. Um, and Lauren, absolute angel. Like, I could talk about everybody for like an hour and how amazing they are.
Sure.
Just the most wonderful people on earth, and like so welcoming to me. I think that was, when I got there, I'm like an introverted extrovert. Like once I'm friendly with you, I'm very social, but I'm
Yeah.
very shy up front. Like it takes me a lot to be the person to like approach. Again, I ramble on a lot. Sometimes I combine my words and I sound like a crazy person. But everyone was so welcoming and sweet and fun, and man, just a terrific experience, terrific people. I feel
Oh,
very blessed.
for sure. And
Yeah.
just three more questions for you. So one,
Absolutely. I am in no rush. You take as much time as you like. Love chatting with you.
good. Now, how was it like being killed? Like, so was this your first time being killed in a movie?
Oh, yes.
So how was that like
Oh
going
my
through it?
gosh. Oh my God. It was very fun. I'm not sure. I didn't know exactly how I was going to die, until the day that I died. And that was, it was really just a testament to how talented Olga and Jackie are. But I had this, I had this like tube rigged it went all the way up my wardrobe, and then they kind of like braided it into the back of my hair, and it underneath, like, like a little lift in my hairdo, and they hid it. You would never, you don't notice it at all. And that was, and it was one of those things where I didn't get shot here or there. It was shot here. So I really had to make sure that I nailed it the first time. So I was very nervous because I'm like, I'm like overthinking it. I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to fall too late, or I'm going to fall too early, whatever. And it was crazy. It was really, really crazy, but it came out perfect. And I just remember I fell on purpose, but I let myself like fall. Like I didn't, fall and brace myself. I just felt that my shoes fell off when I fell down, like at the end of it. I do have a video of that, and I will send it to you. My whole, so you can see a little bit of an extended version of my death scene. But it was so great. And then afterwards, we were all kind of piled on top of each other, and Damien was walking around with blood and like just pouring excess on everybody, making sure that they had enough on them. It was great. It really was. And then after we shot that night, I went to the supermarket to pick something up, and I was like so happy, but I'm walking around with like dry blood on my face.
That was very. Now, what was the point? Of? I know it was you and Thomas that were pilots. Now, what was the point of being pilots in this scene? You got any backstory with that?
Nope, no idea. Damien had a very specific vision that he wanted this very like dreamy sequence where there's all these people that were, online, where it was kind of like airportish, like we could maybe get the hint they were traveling somewhere. And I guess to kind of, drive that home a little bit further, having a pilot and a stewardess there. But as far as I know, there's no rhyme or reason. But is there ever any rhyme or reason when you're dreaming? All kinds of random stuff comes up. So no, it was, we were just there flying.
Right. Oh, sounds good.
It worked out.
Sure. Now, just in closing, now what are some of your favorite Halloween movies or scary franchises that you love to watch every day, if you could?
Oh, I'm so excited you asked me that because I love talking about this. So I will say, to me, it's not the scariest movie of all time. I don't know what that would be for me, but it is definitely the one that I have the most reverence for, because I did see it when it came out in theaters, and I still love it. And it's just very dear to my heart. And it's the Blair Witch Project. That's one of my all-time favorites. I remember I saw it with my mom in the afternoon when I was working at the mall. I was like, I got to see this movie. We went, and it was a packed theater. And it was all viral marketing at the time. And like the internet was still kind of like a baby. So, it didn't occur to anybody that anyone would make a fake website about missing people that weren't really missing. So people were like, is this real? Is this not real? I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. And then you watch this movie, which is like nothing any of us had ever seen anything like. And it was just, I loved it. And honestly, I feel like that movie really was the one that made me like want to work in film, because I could see what filmmakers could do with so little, with just not even showing anything, but just having like this story and just the power of suggestion. I love Blair Witch Project. Terrifier, obviously. Love the Halloween franchise. I don't love all of them, but I love Halloween. I have my Halloween poster back there. I love the original Halloween so much. And I love Halloween too. I feel like there's not like as much love as there should be for that one. That one scares me almost more than the original one does. I don't know if it's the hospital environment. I just love Halloween too. I love Freddy. I love Jason. I really do. If you want to talk Halloween stuff, there is a film that I only saw for the first time maybe like 8 or 9 years ago, and it was a BBC live broadcast. It was called Ghost Watch. And I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it's just amazing. And it was, I think it was like 1990 it came out, and it was this live news broadcast featuring these newscasters that people watched every night. But they were doing a Halloween special, and the Halloween special was like, oh, we're going into, they had their field reporters going to this haunted house, but they didn't really outwardly tell the audience that it was fake. So the audience was seeing all this weird kind of paranormal, like really disturbing stuff unfold on this news broadcast, and they thought it was real. So people at home were like freaking out, and they ended it. I'll send you a link to it, but it's one of my, like, it's in my rotation every year. Love Ghost Watch. Another one of my favorites, and you'll kind of get the sense here that I really do have an appreciation for found footage if it's done really well. It's called Lake Mungo. That one's a little bit more readily available. That one came out a few years back, maybe like 10 years back. I'd say a few years back. I forget how many years is a few years. That one might be on Shudder. I'm not entirely sure, but that's a really, really, like, it's a hard one. It's really great though. Let me look at my little horror collection up there. I love Friday. I really do love Friday the 13th. I'm gonna say, I love Halloween, but I think of like the major franchises. I got a place in my heart for Jason. I do love Jason. I'm in his camp, no pun intended. He's great.
Right.
But, oh my gosh, I love horror movies so much. Like, please, I can't even. It's like my mind is scrambling to land on one. But they're just such a big part of my life. They're a great comfort to me.
Oh yeah.
And I love chatting about them so much. How about you? What are some of your favorites? I can see Michael behind you. I can see the Michael with the glasses. My favorite Michael. Mm-hmm.
Pretty much like my top three, if I have to nail it down. Halloween's gonna be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is definitely gonna be Friday the 13th, and then number three, the tough one, because I can go Nightmare on Elm Street or I can go Terrifier, but if we're gonna stick with OGs, I gotta go Nightmare on Elm Street.
Understandable. Yeah, it's like the holy trifecta.
Oh yeah, definitely. But so where can, for all the listeners that's going to be seeing this or that's going to be hearing this, where can we all find you on social media? Okay,
well, my only social media is Instagram. My username is Dolly Hayes, DOLLIHAZE. And I do have a website, which is my name, BritGodish.com. It just has some examples of my work, which I have to update because I have to include some nice screen captures from Terrifier on there. But yeah, and I love chatting. I love to chat. So if anybody wants to send me a message about anything, I'm happy to converse.
For sure. No, I appreciate your time, and it was a true pleasure to talk to you.
Oh my gosh, same here. And I hope we can connect again. I hope, I'm sure at some point we'll get to meet in person. Yeah, we'll chat more. I'll keep you in the loop about drugstore Halloween and all that good stuff. But it's so nice. It's so nice to talk to a horror fan as well.
I'm a diehard horror fan. I got tattoos, sleeves, all that good stuff. Like,
amazing.
But all right, no, I do appreciate you so much. And definitely go tune in to watch Terrifier 2. And anything you want to say in closing, Miss Brit?
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope to your audience, you enjoyed my ramblings. And thank you guys also for being fans of Terrifier 2. And we appreciate you all so very much.
All right. You have a great night, okay?
And you too. Take care. Oh, and your poster is in the mail.
You're the best. I can't wait to people that. So definitely, thank you so much. It really means a lot.
Please, you're so welcome.
Oh, thank you. Well, you have a good night, okay?
And you too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.